Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I have part one of your political questions. You guys have posted your questions, and now I'm going to have my cadre of spirit guides that are political spirit guides. They're going to be answering your questions, right? So I'm going to channel their answers. We're going to start off with Jess D. Schultz, who says, when will Republican voters wake up and realize they've been conned into voting against their own best interest? Well, Jess D., here's the thing. This has been going on for decades. I remember my dad saying many decades ago, your brother doesn't make enough money to vote Republican. What is he, crazy? There you go, right? They vote against their own interests because it's a club. They want to be a part of the elite club, of the money club, and honestly, between just you and me, the white club. Okay, so that is why they do that. And to answer your question, I would say that in my last video, we talked about the CHIPS Act that Biden and Congress passed and how that's going to affect voters. It's going to affect the American people. And honestly, when you have things like the Affordable Care Act that passed, and then voters could get affordable health care, I personally know people that were Republicans that after they were able to get affordable health care, literally changed to Democrats and have been a Democrat ever since. So when you do things to help the American people pay attention and can switch parties. So I really feel like the CHIPS Act is going to have an effect on people. I think the infrastructure bill is going to have an effect on people. And I think people are going to start seeing that Democrats bring resolution. They solve problems. So I think that you're going to see a lot less Republican, let's call it spirited. The guides want to say a lot less spirited Republican support. They're showing me the picture of CPAC. If you've seen those pictures, the Conservative Political Action Committee, I don't know what it is, what it stands for, but Trump spoke at that and it was empty. So the support for Republicans really is on the down side, and it is becoming less and less, and you're going to see that as we go forward. So that's really good news. Thank you for your question. Jamie Johnson says, will we finally see indictments for the insurrectionists in Congress this year? It's disgusting that they've been allowed to be there. I agree. I feel like they are traitors and they should have been thrown out under that clause. But here we are. We're dealing with the cards we've been dealt. Now, what I see happening is I see the month of March, I see some letters of intent to investigate being handed out to some people. Some of those people could be Biggs, Boebert, Brooks, Gosar. I don't see Green on that list, but I could be wrong. Now, the way I see this happening is March is the month where we're able to make a big leap forward, and perhaps we even announce some charges, okay? But then what happens is that energy really only lasts about a month. It's enough, and we'll take it, because some charges, some indictments, some letters of intent of investigation will be, flurries sent throughout Congress. Then what happens is those investigators, those prosecutors roll their sleeves up, go back, and everybody gets busy, right? The person that they've indicted or charged or even sent the letter of intent of investigation now lawyers up, we lawyer up, everybody gets ready. So that's what's going to happen in March. I feel like the outcome of that energy will then likely resurface again in the fall. So we have the summer for everybody to get ready for these court cases. The court cases happen in the fall, and you could see by the end of this fall, by December, you could see at least 3 of those Congress people being indicted, and you could see others stepping down from office. So what I see and the guides this energy has been consistent, is I see several members either stepping down or being charged, being brought, before a jury. And then I see at least 3, 4, 5 members either stepping down or being removed. And that's when I see the bipartisanship happening. So I see all this happening this year, with some of it spilling into next year. By the time we get to next year, by February, this is all going to be done. All of that rot or whatever we can get to is going to be removed. We're going to be back into some bipartisanship, and it's going to kind of wrap up just in time for us to get ready for the presidential election next year. Hopefully that makes sense, Jamie. I think it's good news. Lamis Ferris says, question about SCOTUS. Okay, so SCOTUS that's the Supreme Court, United States, is about to deliver its ruling on Moore v. Harper. Now, this is the big deal. This is probably the most seminal ruling, even more impactful than the Roe v. Wade rulings, honestly, because this ruling says that if the Supreme Court rules in favor of it, it says that states can overrule their voters. It means that voters can go to the polls and say, hey, we want Jane Doe to be a senator or a rep or whoever, and the powers that be within the state can say, no, we're going to put this person in instead. Okay, so it's a big deal. It basically will shoot a big cannonball size hole in the middle of our Constitution. So now I don't see it happening. I don't see SCOTUS doing that. I think that they realize that's a step too far, and I don't think they're going to do it. Now, I could be wrong, but this is the energy that I'm reading, is that they will not allow that to happen. And I think it's going to be shocking in the sense that the dissent argument may be really shocking. Like, people might say, wow, this SCOTUS is not at all on our team, not on Team America, not on Team Constitution. So I think it could be very shocking, but I don't think they're going to go through with it. I hope that is the case. Thank you for your question. Kathy Greenlay says, was the COVID experience and subsequent financial consequences for China? And here she mentions loss of chip business, sanctioning by parts of the world, real estate crash. And I would add, for more clarity, that China is undergoing its own pandemic right now. What we all went through, it's just now going through. And that's going to change China forever. This is literally going to change China forever. So her question is this a way for the universe, the big universe in the sky, to lessen China's imminent world dominance? Well, the spirit guides don't think this is the universe's doing, but it is China's poor choices. And the guides are saying this is kind of the outcome of communism. I mean, it doesn't work. This is not, they've tried all these different ways of shifting their government. Yes, we're going to allow free market. No, we're not going to allow free market. We're going to arrest that person, just like Russia does. We're going to allow free market. Then when somebody becomes a billionaire, we're going to arrest them and take their business, right? These things don't work. So basically, they're reaping what they sowed. Okay. The guides say that they're going to be dropped many rungs. They're not going to be the world dominant country that they were set up to be. And the same thing with Russia, of course. But countries, you can't underestimate the fact that they're a superpower, and they can flex their muscle, and they probably will. There's going to be a lot of posturing going on, because when you're weak, you need to puff up. You puff up to make the world think that you're big and you're bad. But reality, that's just posturing. So that's what the guides have to say about that. Thank you, Kathy, for your question. I appreciate it. Andrew Rogers says, will we ever get something better than electric cars that still rely on fossil fuels to charge, let alone all the problems of battery components? Seems like a second best solution. How did we end up here? Andrew, yeah, how did we end up here? The guides are showing me horse and buggy with horse poop. That was the only bad outcome of the horse and buggy, right? We are learning our lessons. The guides are saying we're learning our lessons. We're learning about climate change. We're learning about how these choices impact the entire earth and also the humans that live upon them. And within the parameters that we can grow, we're sort of limited by greed and profit, right? So there's free electricity out there. There's water. There's lots of different engines that can run on different things that are very, very much less harmful to the environment. But greed and profit run our world, not just the United States, but the whole world. And we can only operate within those parameters, to be honest with you. I mean, that's the truth of the matter, isn't it? So we're doing the best we can. We're trying to get away from fossil fuels to batteries. And then I expect we'll go to solar, or probably before solar, they're saying we'll go to some sort of, I don't know what that gas, like hydrogen, some kind of gas. But yeah, if you're an advanced soul, this doesn't look smart. It doesn't look like a good idea. But it is where we are, and we're traveling at the rate that we can travel. And that is greatly hindered by greed and profit. And so when we really address those problems, which we will, which we are, when we address those problems, that's when we can have more, maybe perhaps we say there's no profit in healthcare. There's no profit in things that affect the environment. But if you want to make a profit off of this or that, or change the way you make that profit, right? We've just got a lot of growing to do as souls. We're not quite there yet, Andrew. We will go there because what happens is we'll be forced to go there because of climate change. That will be the driver of those changes. And that is definitely coming on faster than I think, obviously, people are ready to accept. Thank you for your question. Elizabeth Conklin says, Elizabeth, I kind of don't agree with you here. You say the best way to fight fascism is through sarcasm. They cannot be ashamed. Narcissism runs deep. Narcissists can't be ashamed. So how do you change them, right? How do you change Hitler? Well, you don't. You take him out of order. You make him obsolete. You take him off of this plane of existence. However, what the spirit guides are saying is that awareness is the key here. Awareness. The Russian, that's very interesting. The German people during that time of Hitler's reign said they didn't know that those trains were going to these horrible gas changers. They didn't know that. Whether they did or not, they say they didn't know. Awareness is everything here. So the guides are saying during the Vietnam War correspondents that took pictures of the war for the first time and brought those pictures back almost on a daily basis to Americans changed how Americans felt about the war. Awareness. So as we go forward, that is what's changing. We have our cell phones, right? Cell phones videotape brutality or attacks that becomes viral. And then that awareness is what actually causes those people to be indicted. If there wasn't the awareness, if there wasn't that cell phone footage, those people would still be out there committing that brutality, that police brutality, or whatever that, or the racist or the fascist brutality. So truly, the answer here is awareness. Thank you, Elizabeth, for your question. Valerie Sargent says, do the guides see an attack or an attempted attack from the inside of the current congressional Congress by congressional members? She fears their desperation and their emboldened horrid behavior. Well, I agree. The temperature is going to rise as these investigations are launched. They're going to feel the pressure. They're going to feel the pressure, and people will act crazy. Of course, they're going to act like cornered animals. So I do understand how you're getting that energy. I don't see a real attack. I see fisticuffs. You know, I see a dust up, a physicality. I see that happening. I truly do see somebody getting into a fist fight. But I don't know that I see, if I do see an attack inside Congress, it is thwarted. It is thwarted. And to be honest with you, it might even be covered up, because that is not something they want the United States to know about. Again, you guys, the best thing for our leaders and for, the powers that be, that control the purse strings, is that Americans go to work and come home, pay their bills, that they're like in the apathy, in the calm. So they try to keep things from us that would get us upset and make us stop spending money or make us get in the streets and protest, right? So they may even cover something up like that. But I don't see any like real violence happening. Let's see. Next question. Thank you, Valerie. And I understand where you're coming from. Thank you for that question. Beth Jursic says she wonders if and when the government is going to do something about foreign countries buying U.S. properties. This is really a bigger deal than you think, because I think that it destabilizes us if we got crosswise of one of these countries, say it's Russia or say it's China. China buys a lot of agricultural land. It just puts us in an awkward position. When is the government going to do something about foreign countries buying? Maybe as soon as next year. Actually, there's some energy that suggests that next year there could be some real tightening of those requirements, or a tightening of the requirement one would have to meet to buy. Oh, well, the guides just said you can have straw buyers. I mean, what's hard is that I could say, oh, I'm buying this farm, but in reality, I'm buying it for China. I'm just an intermediary. So it's hard to control that. So we would need to really pass some pretty toothy, some very detailed laws, and we may even need to create a new department within the Secretary of the Interior, I think is what they're saying, to monitor that, because you would want to make sure that it's not just money laundering either, right? We don't want to be money laundering accidentally because we don't know who really owns that property, right? So that is an area of concern that you've brought up, that the Justice Department and the Secretary of Interior and Biden's administration feel needs to be looked at. So that's very interesting. Mona Gale says, will churches lose their tax-free status on property and donations? And many have become political. This is the third rail. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off, but I do think that what will happen is they're showing me a tax, like a big tax IRS overhaul. So as a part of a bigger tax bill, buried in there is some language that would curtail some churches. what it looks like is, yes, you can be tax-free when you're using that money for the upkeep of your building. You can use that money for the upkeep of anything directly related to your ministering, but an 8-passenger corporate jet is not, you're not ministering with that. That doesn't qualify as transportation. So I see them reducing what they can count as tax-free. But I don't see a bill specifically aimed at them. It's in the middle of a bigger bill on the IRS that I think we will see next year. But I think that's good. I mean, I'll take that. I think probably churches should be taxed, but I'll take a tightening of their ability to live this extravagant life tax-free. That is just outrageous to me. Thank you for your question. So a couple of questions, a Ukraine update. Again, I see a game changer. The words they're using is game changer. I think that there's some new tanks or new weaponry that is still hasn't been delivered, but is on its way there. I just see a game changer. I think that this spring is going to pretty much prove to everyone that Ukraine has what it takes. They have the prowess, is the words they're using, to overcome this foe. Now, what's happening, what could happen is that the pressure is going out. Like, instead of Russia pointing all the pressure on Ukraine, I feel the pressure goes out. So you may see some kind of action in Moldova, which is a country that Russia's already annexed part of it and turned it into this new country that I can't pronounce the word of. But I mean, who gets to decide that I'm taking this from you and making it a new country? I mean, this is the kind of behavior that the world needs to stand up to, because Russia will push. They will do things to make NATO respond. They're a cornered animal. They're going to act out. And we have this crazy making energy, right? Where just people are doing the craziest things. I kind of see that affecting Putin as well. But I do see Ukraine just steamrolling over. I literally see them just pushing Russia back. Crimea is a problem. It's always been a problem. They're going to take it eventually, but we're going to need air power. Honestly, Ukraine needs air power from us. They need jets, fighter jets, and I'm not sure what the plan is with that. But overall, I do see Ukraine continuing to do what they need to do to get their country back. Again, as always, at what cost? The cost is insane. It's just brutal, the cost. But they're doing what they need to do to get their country back, and they will continue doing it. And you might see some wavering of some of like Germany or something, but the German people want Germany to support Ukraine. So if they don't support Ukraine, then they're going to find out that their people are going to be protesting and going to be sending that message. We want you to do this. Okay. So there is that going on as well. That was Equus333. Thank you for your question. She also wants to know, when will the CDC and the FDA take action for the millions of chronic pain sufferers? Again, this is a profit problem. It's a profit problem. We have ways to stop pain, but that doesn't include a pill. Okay, like I'm seeing these pain centers where you go to the pain center and they put this electrode or stimulation or something, and specifically I'm seeing it at the base of your spine, and that does something and it stops the pain. And it's like You go in, you get a treatment, you go out. It's that easy. I think that that's coming, but we have to battle, to get approval. You have to get over all the lobbyists that are buying off all the Congress people that vote on these laws. So it is being worked on. Things are happening. Things are definitely happening. Okay, JD has an interesting question. And JD says that they were shocked when they saw 45 sheepishly full of guilt following Putin in Helsinki in 2018. Putin looked smug and gleeful. And the question is, what compromat or what dirt does Putin have on 45? I'm sadly doubtful the public will be told, what do your guides say? Well, there's lots of compromat on 45, but that doesn't, he doesn't care. People always want to know, where are the golden shower PP tapes? He doesn't care. Trump doesn't care. This is the man said he grabs women by the PUSSY. He doesn't care. That stuff doesn't work for him. What Trump cares about is money, 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 because money gives you power, which allows you to grab women, right? So what also prison? He cares about prison. Trump cares about prison. So what Putin has on Trump could put him in prison, period, end of story. Second thing is that Trump is addicted, allegedly and for entertainment purposes only, to money. He's addicted to that power. So Putin is always giving him, they just started a new Trump Tower somewhere. I mean, Putin gives him the money to do that. Trump doesn't have the money to do that. And I mean, somewhere in another country. Putin is the one that underwrites his big, lavish properties. It's all money laundering for entertainment purposes only from Putin. Putin's laundering that money through Trump. And if Trump gets caught, that's prison time. So that's what he has on him. That's the compromat that he has on him, is prison. And I've said this many, many times. I don't see Trump going behind bars. I see him in a house arrest situation where an ex-president of the United States can be watched very carefully, because that is a prize. You don't want someone to kidnap him. You don't want somebody to kill him. That's the kind of stuff that starts wars, right? So we need to keep him safe, but we need to keep him locked up away from everybody and everything, including the internet, phones, windows, anything like that, right? So, yep, that's what they have on him. And I'll end it with Il Champ. Your question is regarding the SCOTUS, Supreme Court, any updates on judges leaving in 2023? Kavanaugh, Barrett, Thomas, fingers crossed. I'm getting two names mixed up. I'm getting Alito and Scalia. So it's like Scalito. What are they talking about? Scalito. You know what I mean? Anyway, Kavanaugh, Barrett, Thomas. Okay. Yes. 2023. Potentially Barrett. And Thomas. Barrett and Thomas. When I go into Kavanaugh right now, I think he's under investigation, allegedly, but I don't think they can nail him. Is that right? Is that right? There's something just under the surface. Kavanaugh could be in trouble too. I would say all three of them, but also Scalia and Alito. Something is going on with Scalia and Alito, and it doesn't matter. I think one of them isn't on the court anymore. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter because there's energy there. So will one of these Supreme Court justices will they be removed? I hear yes. That's really good. Removed is really good. Will one of them step down? Will one of them step down on their own, of their own volition? I hear pressured out. So not step down, but pressure, not of their own So one is getting removed. That means criminal. And another one is getting pressured out. Arkansas is proposing or just passed a bill loosening the laws on child labor. How do the guides see this spreading through the states, affecting our children now and in the future, especially immigrants? So, right, dear, this is Shelley, by the way, Shelley Lane. Thank you for your question. Shelley, this law, I think, or this situation currently really affects immigrant children. I'm pretty sure that somehow the loophole is through immigrant children that don't have a status, or their status is one of seeking asylum but hasn't got asylum. There's some kind of weird loophole thing. But again, the guides are saying this goes back to the same thing about all the crazy laws that are going on. You can't give blood if you've had the vaccine. Seahorses are terrible because males give birth. You can't dress. The bill in Tennessee says something like you can't dress in any clothes that does not match your biological sex. You know, at which point people would point out people wearing a kilt. What about if you're Scottish and you're wearing a kilt? I mean, it's just the level of actual, the word they really want to use, I can't say on YouTube, but dumb. And then let's just call it fuckery. Dumb fuckery here is just asinine. It's like, it's comical. And I think it's meant to, again, roust us out of our stupor so that we all go, wait, what? What did they pass? I live in Arkansas. They passed a law saying that my kid can work. You know what I mean? We need that kind of, hello, wake up. You've been in a stupor. You know, you've been brainwashed. And now we need to snap you out of it. 1, 2, 3, wake up, right? So that's kind of what's going on here. I don't see that becoming a thing. I think that at some point we're going to hit rock bottom. People are going to wake up and they're going to say, okay, this is crazy talk. You got to go. You got to go. You got to go. I see a lot of people being recalled, literally petitions being passed around, and the state Congress people and Senate, I think it's mostly Congress people, being recalled from their seat. And that's going to be a chilling effect. That's going to be a letter to America from the citizens of America saying, this is dumb fuckery. And we're not putting up with it anymore. We're not crazy. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. Here's my petition. You're going to be having a challenger because we're challenging your seat. Okay. So that's what I would say with that. I know it's crazy. I know a lot of you guys don't even know about some of these laws that are happening. And that's another thing. We go back to what the guides just said about awareness. If the citizens were aware of these laws, they might be able to wake up out of their stupor and do something about it. But so far, the laws haven't affected anybody. So everybody's just doing what they're doing, right? And some of that is left over from the pandemic. The pandemic shell-shocked us. It's like you hear about, especially during World War II, these people that would come home from the front lines being shell-shocked. They would just be like zombies, catatonic. People are catatonic from being shell-shocked from experiencing the pandemic, and they literally cannot deal with this stuff. Therefore, the inmates are running the asylum. But we're going to wake up and we're going to all of a sudden go, what the flock is going on here? And we're going to fix it. That is going to happen. We are not going to continue to govern like this. I promise you. But we have to hit bottom. We have to have whatever camel's straw broke the camel's back, whatever little thing it's going to be that people are finally wake up and go, this is crazy. We're not this crazy. We're crazy, but we're not that crazy. right? What do the guides see for Tucker Carlson's future a decade or two from now? Wow, a decade or two. A decade. I mean, I would like to know what's going to happen to Tucker this year, wouldn't you guys? I love that Tucker with an F. I think Lena Rodriguez does that, Tucker with an F. I love that. Let me ask, what's Tucker's future looks like? I'm going to reduce it to 2 years. I'm going to give him 2 years. 2 years from now, he's right. They're calling him, or he calls himself, a media mogul. So even though I don't think Fox is going to be Fox, I don't think it's going to be what it is. He's going to go, he look, you know, they're showing me that guy, who's the guy that's really heavy set, that the InfoWars guy. So Tucker with an F is going to go offline, online. He's going to go off of the mainstream media, but he's going to have his own little kingdom on the internet. So that's what's going to happen. Now, it actually doesn't hurt him monetarily. He's actually making pretty good money. Now, if I go out 5 years from now, I feel like I'm not sure he's going to be here in a decade, to be honest with you, because when I go 5 years out, and maybe that's why they had me come in closer, because maybe in a decade he's not here. But as I go from 2 years out to say 5 years, I'm seeing some prostate issues, or just some issues down, allegedly and for entertainment purposes only, down in that area. Maybe, you know, I'm just not going to be specific. I'm just saying that he might have some health issues that he may be dealing with. Okay. So I don't think I'm not sure he'll be around in a decade. I'm going to leave it at that. At least I get in some kind of trouble. So I think that's really good news. That's a good high note to end this video on, right? Thank you guys so much for watching, subscribing, liking, sharing this video. I really appreciate it. Take really good care of yourselves. We'll talk again. Part 2 is coming soon. All right. For entertainment purposes only.